Traster of the Rockland County Business Journal, which is sponsored in part by the Ugel Law Firm, and also the law offices of, and I don't have it in front of me. Look at this. All right, who's your other sponsor?
Burbrower.
Burbrower.
Leonard Burbrower.
There you go. And what's up on this Monday morning?
Don't you need to place the sponsorship?
Yeah, I kind of just mentioned them. The Ugel Law Firm, and also Leonard Burbrower, attorney at law. I got it.
All right.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
County. We've got a lot of numbers and stats being thrown at us, and the question is, what do they mean? And normally, one would say, well, the numbers are the numbers. But in the case of where we are right now, it remains a very difficult read because we are in such an unprecedented time. So, for example, the unemployment rate. Let's look at Rockland. Rockland's unemployment number was 5.6%, while New York State was 8.5%. Now, in comparison, back in February, Rockland was at 6.4%. New York was at 8.9%. In January, Rockland was 6.1%. New York was 8.8%. If you look back a year ago, Rockland was 12.3%. New York was 15%. So these numbers would suggest that Rockland's economy, even at the bottom, was stronger than New York at large, which is not that surprising because, of course, when you factor in New York City has been hardest hit by the pandemic. In Rockland, we also see that the unemployment rate has remained fairly low, but not as low, say, as it was back in 2000 and 2007 when it was 2.7%. These are all numbers from the Federal Reserve. Now, another interesting thing to think about now are retail sales, okay? What we're seeing nationally, and I think that this is relevant to Rockland because Rockland is so retail dependent, is we're seeing a very, very strong wave right now in retail purchasing. And that makes sense when you consider the stimulus checks, the CARES Act, the extended unemployment benefits. I mean, we're in a sense, we're flush with cash right now. So we are seeing that the retail landscape looks very, very strong. So, for example, overall sales rose 22% from so it would not make any sense to look at 2020. The relevant comparison is from 2019 versus 2021. In April, overall 22% overall sales, retail sales rose 22.2% from April 2019 to April 2021, and e-commerce rose 40%. We saw a rise in sporting goods sales, 47%, home goods sales, 28%, electronics, 4.5%, general merchandise, 10%. Even the apparel sector, which was the one that's probably been in the deepest trouble, rose 3.1% compared to 2 years ago. Now, the department store sales, however, continue to be the dark spot, falling 7.4% over that from 2019. And so what does all of this mean for Rockland County? Well, that is the question. Is this surge in retail tied into low unemployment, low unemployment, a lot of stimulus, a lot of extended unemployment benefits, being more flush with cash. So are we going to see the retail scene here? Are we in a turnaround place, or are we in this temporary blip that would suggest that has retail really come back, or is this a temporary rebound? And that's the question that we just don't have the answer to, because we're in such unprecedented times. I mean, we've never had a situation where unemployment has fallen this low, and we've also never had a situation where the government has pumped in so much money, and we're factoring in, still, like we talked about last week, a very low vaccination rate in the county, and so the question, what we're going to be watching here is this going to revive the Palisades Center? Is this going to revive the shops at Nanuet? Are we going to see retail start thriving again? Or, is this just a sort of a blip where people are pent up, they've got the appetite, they've got the cash, they're hungry, they want to get back to the mall, they're hankering to purchase things, but is it sustained? That becomes the question. Is it sustained? Until we get back to, like I said, the low numbers of 2.7% in unemployment, we're still at almost 5.6% unemployment. So what happens when the unemployment runs out in September? All of these are questions, and we will watch them on a month-to-month basis and try to gauge them, not just what they mean for us nationally or statewide, but what they mean for Rockland County, because each county has its own unique economic culture and economic circumstances. And, we know here in this county that we have a very significant dependence on retail. So all eyes on this. We will continue to gauge it, and we will continue to talk about it so that we can stay on top of what's going on.
How long do you think this would take before you feel that you get statistics that are viable?
I think that by the end of the year, once we get past the end of the the extended unemployment in the very end of August, and once we get through the holiday season, and once we see whether or not we have really returned to a new normal, and there is the sense that life is normal, you can go to the movie theater or you can go anywhere without thinking about those implications. And don't forget, we've talked about this. Rockland has a significant percent of people who are older than 50, and I think these are the people who have used the most caution and probably will continue to until we really see a high vaccination rate. But I think by the end of the year, we're going to have, in January, we'll be able to look back at 4 quarters and see how they compare. I mean, if we have a spike now in spending and it starts to head south in the third quarter after the extended unemployment lapse, that's going to be problematic.
When does the extended unemployment expire?
At the end of August.
The end of August. Okay.
And you know that there are red states around the country that have cut off the extra $300 a week unemployment benefits. So I don't expect that will happen in New York. But there's just a lot of uncertainty, and we have to try to figure out what it means as a nation state and also as a county to come out of a pandemic and where we land. I think, like we talked about last week, I really think that the rate of vaccination is so significant for the economy because it's going to keep, like if retailers and restaurants, if we don't have to worry about being masked, if we don't have to worry about spacing tables and all the rest of it, then we return to something that looks normal. But if we continue to kind of limp along and there's all this uncertainty about what does the CDC say, and do people have to wear masks or don't they, and who does and who doesn't, and how do we know, and if all that uncertainty swirls around us, I think that That remains difficult. Maybe not so much for a retailer because that's more controllable. But it does have more impact on on entertainment or anything that involves a congregate space. Even and down to how we do business. Do we conference again? Do we have meetings again? Are we enclosed in rooms again? So a lot. I really believe a lot depends on the vaccination. But and the two things really to watch are the numbers for vaccination rates and the to see what happens when the economic benefits and how that impacts vis-a-vis the unemployment rates. So those are sort of, I think, the three stats when you throw them into the blender. That's what are we smoothie or are we not so smoothie? So we will see. We will, like I said, we'll be looking at these numbers every month so that we can try to make sense as we go along as a county and think about what it means for us here.
Well, you'll keep reporting to us.
That's what we will do.
You got it, Tina. We'll talk to you again next Monday.
All right. Have a great week.
Right. And Tina Traster, editor-in-chief of the Rockland County Business Journal, an online publication brought to you in part by the law offices of Leonard Burbrower.
I'm Leonard Burbrower, a practicing personal injury attorney in Rockland County and the Hudson Valley. If you've had an accident, a fall down, or a work-related accident, I'm the person to see. 914-672-3775. I'm conveniently located in New City and available 24/7. The lawyer you choose can make a difference. Let me have the privilege of being that lawyer. Find me on Instagram and Facebook. 914-672-3775. I look forward to hearing.